What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Last Word Music Podcast. I'm your host tonight, Scott Gevurtz. This is my first solo video, and tonight we're going to be reviewing Funeral by Lil Wayne. So, Funeral dropped a couple days ago, and to be honest with you, I'm a pretty big fan of Lil Wayne. I like a lot of his work. Obviously, I think the Carter series those are his best albums, and I think his albums outside of the Carter have often been kind of weak, but Funeral is just kind of a meh album. I'm gonna be straightforward with you. I liked a couple songs on here, particularly the intro. I like the way it started off. Funeral, Mahogany, those are two pretty good tracks. I like both of them. Funeral was kind of like this dramatic track, kicked it off pretty nicely, and then Mahogany went hard. There are a lot of like bangers on here, kind of Mahogany, where it's like going hard and Wayne is rapping, because he's a really, really technically proficient rapper. Like he can spit really fast, but at the same time, his lyricism is just kind of average. He drops a lot of weak lines, like when he says shake that ass like a salt shaker over and over, just chanting that one. And he has some other bars that are just kind of like poor. In addition, the album's pretty long. It's 24 tracks, and so even though it starts off pretty strong, it just kind of like blends as you go on, and it's pretty bland for a lot of it through the most part. There's a bunch of different mood switches. Like he has a track with Adam Levine and then a track with X, and they don't really fit all that well together. And I don't know. I never really pegged Lil Wayne as kind of like the mentally tortured guy doing a track with X after X's death post-mortem. But as a whole, I liked some of the songs in the album. He definitely had a big lull in the early 2010s, and with the Carter 5 and now this, he's made a bit of a comeback. I would say the Carter 5 was probably better than this one, and this is solid, but it just wasn't great for me. Just an average album, especially in Wayne's catalog. Didn't mean a ton for him. So I'm going to start off with going through our categories. Lyricism, I gave it a 12 out of 20 points. It was solid. Had some fine lyrics, but again, just wasn't great going through. He had another line where he was like, he talked about how like he has his baby mama is a plus size model and she busts that ass like a piñata, and it was just kind of like okay, and then on Trust Nobody with Adam Levine, it's just very bland, generic songwriting. The lyrics are kind of like, oh, I don't trust nobody because people aren't trustworthy, and it's kind of catchy, but it doesn't really go anywhere. Ball Hard is it's got Lil Twist from Young Money, and it's got a solid verse from him, but Lil Wayne's verse in this is pretty awful. Like most of his verses are actually solid, but in a couple points like here, he's just got a series of lines where it's just laughable, man. Like he's listing names and subjects that just don't have anything in common, just to rhyme stuff. He says Lawrence Taylor, Taylor Swift, Taylor Made in China, Black Mamba, Baby Mama, Lady Gaga. Like it's just he's just speaking. There's no like real emotional depth here. And the sad thing is like he hints at some emotional depth at the start in Funeral when he talks about kind of like this like redemption, like coming back, like how he's bringing back his love for music and his passion and stuff. But then as the songs go on, it's just kind of grows into a lot more bland kind of feel, and his lyrics are just average. So 12 out of 20 for lyrics. Next thing is flow of the album. Again, I gave it a 6 out of 10. I liked a lot of the tracks early, but as the songs go on, there's just too many of them. There's like 24 different tracks, and they're all in different moods, and so it kind of seems like out of touch, and it's not like a connected story that like you need to listen to one track to listen to the next. It's honestly probably better just picking out some of the good tracks on here and listening to those individually. Features, so I gave a 6 out of 10 for flow of the album. Features, I also gave a 6 out of 10. There's some nice features on here. What's his name? J Rock has a really nice verse on Bing James. Yeah, J Rock's really cool. He's a great rapper. But again, it's just kind of like too wide of a variety. Like Adam Levine's, his hook is terrible. His voice is just so like it's so phony in Wayne's track, and it's really, really bad. And then he's switching up the mood so much with his tortured, depressed track with X, and it kind of feels wrong. And 2 Chainz, who's usually great, especially pretty funny, he's just kind of meh on his track with Wayne too. So the features, I feel like didn't really do a ton for the album. And there were a lot of them, and he had some solid ones. So I gave him a 6 out of 10, but there were a lot of other features that were just kind of like unnecessary. It was nice to hear a change up though, because Lil Wayne's voice is really high, and when he's rapping really fast, you can kind of lose track of what he's saying, and it gets kind of shrill. So in a lot of songs, it serves well to like have a different voice come in, kind of like change up the pace a little bit. For artist performance, I gave Lil Wayne a 12 out of 20. Obviously, this album doesn't mean a ton to him. He's already had a super long and fantastic career, made a ton of money. He's pretty late in his career now, and this album was just kind of like another one that exists. It wasn't special. It was a couple good songs to listen to, but like as a whole, the album wasn't anything that great. So it didn't mean a ton to him personally, other than, it's a bit of a revival because he had some down albums for a while. But the Carter 5 was a lot more impressive to me. So 12 out of 20 there. He doesn't have any like crazy lyrics or like insane verses. He has a couple nice ones, but then some bad lyrics too, nothing great. For bangers, I actually gave him an 8 out of 10. Because a lot of songs on this album are going hard. Wayne's rapping really fast, and if you're not really paying attention to any of the lyrics or anything, like you can definitely vibe with a lot of songs on here. They're kind of slapping, just going hard. Good kind of like workout music. I want to say it's the third track, or the fourth track. I Do It with Big Sean and Lil Baby. Big Sean's got a pretty catchy intro, and that's a pretty good track, especially going hard. Yeah. Although, I gotta say, the track Sights and Silencers with The Dream was just so corny, man. Like, it's just bad. Yeah, I mean, it's really not even listenable. So, there's some good points on this album. There's some high points, especially the start. But it just kind of wears on too long, and there's a lot of, like, mediocre songs. Rarely on here is there anything that's, like, terrible. But a lot of it's just kind of bland and, like, generic, and it's just not special in a lot of points. It's not like worth listening to over and over. So re-listenability, I gave it a 10 out of 20. Again, it's not like I would go back to this album, look for a ton of songs. It's kind of just good to pick a few songs, add them to your playlist. Mahogany, Funeral, Do It. The one with, I think it's called Do It. Yeah, I Do It with Big Sean and Lil Baby. That's a good track. There's a couple good ones. And then production, I gave it a 7 out of 10 because obviously Lil Wayne's super big at this point. He's got a ton of money to put into production. And on a lot of the songs, he gets a wide variety of sounds from varying instruments. He has guitars, he has pianos, he has all the trap beats. So the production's pretty solid, although in some points it just becomes kind of like convoluted. Or on like a Mamma Mia, which isn't a terrible track. It's one of the better ones on the album actually. But it's just, I didn't really like the production. It was too like grimy for me. So I gave him a 7 out of 10 on production. Solid grade. And overall, I would give Funeral by Lil Wayne a 61 out of 100. So, if you're a big fan of Lil Wayne, worth a listen. Solid album. Couple good songs on there. But as a whole, nothing too impressive or spectacular. He does give a shout out to my boys Drip Bayless and Shannon Sharp with his line, Drip Bayless, I'm feeling Shannon Sharp today. So that's a good one. Overall, favorite tracks on the album, I'd say Funeral, Mahogany, I Do It, Bing James, and Ball Hard with Lil Twist. His verse on there is pretty solid. Otherwise, it's not that great of a song. So those are probably the best ones. Yeah. Least favorite tracks, I'd probably say Trust Nobody with Adam Levine. I'm not sure what the name of the one is. The one where he's like shake that ass like salt shaker. I think it might be Clap for M. That one was not that good. Sights and Silencers was bad. I really didn't vibe with Get Out of My Head. And yeah, those were probably the worst ones. The rest of them were just kind of bland. So again, overall grade 61 out of 100. That's all for tonight, folks. Thanks for listening. Make sure to check out this album. Tell us what you think in the comment sections, whether you guys loved it, hated it. Just let us know. Any suggestions for other albums to review for the future, please tell us. We're totally down. And that's it. So thanks for listening. I'm Scott Gevurtz, and this has been The Last Word.